Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is priorities. Where we live very busy lives filled with all kinds of obligations, responsibilities, millions of things calling for our attention, people calling for our attention, things that need to be done. And it often causes a deep sense of overwhelm and sometimes anxiety, even panic. So we're going to talk this morning about priorities and how we can establish priorities that give us space for our often very much too busy lives. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any remaining stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together just to feel all those sensations, the pressure, the friction, the temperature, the motion, and all the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to be here with you on this Friday morning. Good morning, Rosalind. Great to be having you join us and everybody else who's with us. So we're talking about priorities. I know we've spoken about this before and how to manage the stress and the overwhelm of so much to do, so many things pulling on us from different directions. And I think where I want to start is in looking at values as it relates to establishing priorities. Because oftentimes what we do is we take on all kinds of to-dos that we're not actually invested in. And it's not because we have to, but it's more because we think we should in certain respects. So good morning, Robin. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. We are talking about priorities because there's so much that we're juggling, most of us, right? And it's a matter of, well, where do I want truly to put the energy of my life, the energy of my attention? How am I going to allocate that time and energy in a way that is life affirming and nurturing to my essential being? And I think that when we start looking at all the things we have to do, Robin says, yippee, talking to me. That's so funny. So yeah, so when we look at all the things we have to do and we try to prioritize them, I don't know how often. Good morning, Bernadette. So good to have you here with us. Welcome back. We missed you. We're talking about priorities and how to navigate these the overwhelming demands that so many of us face in life. We elevate things to importance that we're not really committed to or invested in oftentimes, like we maybe we have all these things on our lists that call for our attention. Good morning, Sally. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. We're talking about priorities and how to navigate what could easily be overwhelmed. So we might have things on our list, and this might be blasphemy to some of you, but we might have things on our list like clean the bathroom, do the laundry, all of that kind of domestically programmed essentials. And we might have other things on the list like meditate or take a walk. And typically the domestic chores, and I'm just sort of using these as polarities, might take precedence because there are shoulds that we're not examining that are kind of running our schedule and prioritizing. And I wonder, this is a choice that I've seen myself make, is in this moment feeling, if I'm feeling kind of pressed by all these externalities, perhaps I can elevate the priority of take a walk instead of do the laundry. The laundry can wait, or folding the laundry or putting the laundry away maybe can wait until, so that I can do something that is more expansive for me. Now, maybe for you, having the laundry put away is something that creates a great sense of accomplishment and relief. And if that's the case, then that's awesome. But this is just on one end of the spectrum. Bernadette says, my priority list is long, and apparently my new word lately is procrastination, LOL. So I don't think that it's a new word for lots of people, Bernadette. And the thing about procrastination, like there are things that I would have on my to-do list for weeks and weeks. And I think that when that is the case, there's a moment of reckoning that you can come to say, clearly this isn't a priority. I'm going to take it off the list. And relieve yourself of that pressure to accomplish something that isn't in line with what is truly important to you. An example, I know I've given this example before, but for the longest time, I had on my list to build out social media channels. I don't like doing that. I just don't like to. This engagement with you is pretty much the totality of my social media engagement. And so that whole category of things would be on my list for months, and I just never got around to it because it wasn't really aligned with what's important to me. It wasn't aligned with what I valued. It wasn't important. And so when I took it off my list, it was really freeing when I gave myself permission to say, you know what, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. So there are things on our lists that are there because culturally we believe we should be doing those things, or business-wise, we have these notions about what we should be doing. Should be, that's the operative word, should. And I invite you to look at the shoulds that are on your list and really give yourself permission to say, is this something that I'm actually aligned with? Is this something that is in alignment with my values and my real commitments? And I invite you to remove things from your list, because it's sort of another level of being honest with ourselves, to say, this isn't me. And it's okay. It's okay for me to be me. Like, I have more emails that I haven't purged or reviewed than I could count. I mean, there are over, is a true confession, over 100,000 emails that I have that are sitting there waiting, looking for attention or whatever. And I don't see that it makes any sense for me to be putting my energy there. There's so much junk that pours in that it's just overwhelming. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to deal with it. And I've given myself permission not to. And I tell people, don't try to communicate. If you want to communicate with me, email's not the way to do it. If you send me an email and you want me to see it, text me to let me know, because I just don't want to spend my energy there. And giving myself permission to honor that part of me that says this email thing is just too much. That was very freeing. And at some point, maybe I'll just go in and just purge them wholesale. But going through them one by one, it's like, how much life energy is that taking? We've talked about life energy in terms of our investment of our life energy into what gives us money in our lives. Let's look at how we invest our life energy in other things. We can be spending so much time on things that give us no return, no reward, no fulfillment or satisfaction. Oh, Robin says, I understand. Generally, I delete emails at doctor's appointments while waiting. Well, I think that's a good thing to do while you're waiting for pretty much anything. Why not? That's productive. I play Sudoku because I feel like it activates my mind. I do scroll through emails a lot, but I don't read lots of them. So Bernadette says, my list consists of things that make me happy or accomplished. That's beautiful. Being on social media is unfortunately on the bottom of the list. Why is that unfortunate, Bernadette? I don't think that's unfortunate. Maybe there are certain social factors that would say it's unfortunate, but if it's on the bottom of your list, then clearly that's something that is reflecting your values. And Bernadette continues, since the heart attack, my like, love, and desired list has altered. I'll bet it has. I catch things on social media when my hands decide to pick up my phone. Yeah, and you know what, Bernadette, that works for me too, is, every now and then I'll see something on social media, or I might spend a few minutes there, but it's just not my thing. I have so many other things in my life that call for my attention that I find more enriching and more engaging. And certainly setting up the social media platform and if I have something to say, that's one thing, but to be structuring my communications because I'm trying to do something business-wise, it's just not my vehicle. So I'm kind of a word of mouth, one-to-one kind of person more so. This is the height of my social media engagement, is these conversations with you, and I really find them rewarding and delightful, and that's why I do it. And when if it becomes burdensome, then that's when I'll stop, you know? So, looking at your priority list, or not your priority list, your to-do list, all these obligations and responsibilities, even the things that we think that we're responsible for, some of the things we can actually offload. So for instance, I know some people who do their own taxes, and it's for some of them, it's highly traumatic to do that. And maybe that's a situation where you get to offload it to somebody. If you're in a position where you have the freedom to be able to pay somebody to do that, then maybe it's worth it, so that you don't have all that angst and anxiety. I know for me, that's something I offload. And there are other things that might be on our list that we can actually offload, and there's value to doing that, that to exchange our money life energy, or our life energy that was exchanged for money, to pay somebody else to alleviate the pressure of certain things in our lives that that aren't aligned with lighting us up. And so what we're talking about here in terms of priorities is creating values aligned priorities. Where are you going to be spending your time? So my house is a bit dusty because I have other things that I'm prioritizing over dusting the house. And periodically I get on a tear and I clean everything, and that's awesome and it's lovely, and I like being in a place that's clean and neat and all of that. And I realize that it's very easy for me to lose a lot of time in doing that and not feeling the satisfaction. So it's it's a balance. It's a balance. It's not filthy here, like if it gets to a point where it's too much, then or it's on the verge, then I take care of it. But it's not something that is part of my daily routine. Whereas for some people, it's really a high priority. I notice that when I'm in avoidance mode, I will spend a lot of attention cleaning or neatening or doing things that allow me to not do the things that are the big priorities that are calling to me if I'm feeling intimidated or something by that prospect. Like I remember when I was writing a book, my house was impeccable because I would avoid it at all costs, for as long as I could before I couldn't. And I would avoid it by making sure, putting everything was in its perfect place, in its perfect position all the time, while I was doing that. So it's interesting to see where we put our energy. Robin says, this is one of my priorities. I enjoy our time here, although we can categorize priorities. I thank you, Robin. I so appreciate that all of you who join us for these conversations. I appreciate that you are prioritizing it, that you are giving your time and your life energy to this. And I want to honor you and value that and appreciate that. Bernadette says, I have baskets of clean laundry that needs to go away. It's only in baskets because I truly do not like putting it away. I have no problem doing it, just putting it back where it needs to be. Yeah, I get that. And, it's funny because I did some laundry, and normally I put the laundry away. like normally that's what I do. And I have TV on, or, some movie or something, so that I'm instead of just sitting and watching TV, I'm putting the laundry away. But for the past couple of days, I've been very busy with other things, and the laundry's sitting there. And it's part of what has allowed me to be thinking about, well, what are my priorities? And where do we feel like we're going to get the most reward from from where we spend our time? And that might be toward business building, it might be toward relationship building, it might be toward self-care, it might be toward environmental maintenance. We all have different priorities, and those priorities, and I'm talking about values-based priorities, those value-based priorities can shift too. Like sometimes, for instance, the clutter or messiness can be like, okay, done with that. Let's get that all straightened out. Sometimes other things are just more important. So giving ourselves permission to establish our own priorities about what's important and what is going to be most in alignment with what feels important. I'm thinking back to what I said was when I was writing that book, and my house was impeccably clean. It was because I felt overwhelmed, and I could control the cleanliness in my house. Like I could control certain aspects of my environment, and that's why everything was in its perfect place. Because there was a sense of overwhelm or insecurity in putting words to a page at that time for me. So I guess we get to look at how we prioritize things. Is it based on avoidance? Is it based on creating some level of comfort for ourselves? Is it based on the things that we really are committed to accomplishing? It's interesting to see where we have willingness to invest ourselves. So Robin says, I allow mom's and others' priorities over mine, so my priorities take the back seat. Working on this for me. Robin, that's a good thing that you're working on that. You deserve to be prioritized too. Maybe there are moments when someone else's needs take priorities because it's more important for me to be able to give to them than it is for me to be able to do something that I might need to do for myself. Recognize that that's a choice, and that there's gift to you in that choice. You can get to feel good about yourself, or feel good that you're doing something that is helpful to somebody else. That feel good piece is the reward. And if we're doing things for other people and feeling resentful, then that's a really good red flag to reevaluate what we're doing, either to choose the engagement with others more consciously and deliberately, or to choose to do something else. So recognizing that everything that we choose to do, we're doing for ourselves on some level, and that we are actually a choice. The shoulds are our shoulds, and we're imposing them upon ourselves. Other people may be imposing them upon us, but we're accepting them for ourselves. So we get to take responsibility and be accountable for those choices. So Rosalind says, I like that graph that has 4 quadrants. On the x-axis is important. On the y-axis is urgency. Something can be important but not urgent. So it can help focus what's urgent and important. So thank you for bringing that up, Rosalind. We've talked about this quadrant arrangement before. So on the upper left of the quadrant is urgent and important. On the upper right of the quadrant is important but not urgent, which happens to be one of the areas that often gets most neglected, but is really essential. So important but not urgent is moving forward toward your dreams, for instance. And because it doesn't have a timeline based on it, it may not be urgent. It doesn't have a deadline. And so it often gets shuffled to the bottom of the stack. Important but not urgent might be some level, some level of self-care. The important but not urgent category is a really important category, and it really it would be of great benefit to prioritize it. On the lower left is urgent but not important. So there might be things that are demanding our attention in the moment, but it's not important. We get to give ourselves the opportunity to choose differently and to say, you know what, I'm going to remove that from the list here. And the last quadrant is on the lower right-hand side, and that is not urgent and not important. And I promise you that there are things on your to-do list that are demanding your attention that are neither urgent nor important, and you can give yourselves permission to remove those things from your list and breathe a sigh of relief. So on that sigh of relief, it's Friday. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. I'm so grateful to you for your company and engagement in these conversations. And I am Mira Rubin. I go live here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to please check out the other wonderful, wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And again, I wish you a fabulous weekend. And I hope to see you again here really soon. And until then, so much love to you.